Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. And it's been a while since I've done card readings. To be perfectly honest with you, doing card readings, um, sharing my knowledge with astrology and Kabbalah is a lot safer for the most part. And then when you get into card readings, sometimes the cards say things that people don't want to hear. And life is hard enough. So the blowback from that can be a little bit daunting. And really, do you really want to complicate your life with uh, blowback, honestly? But and I admire the readers out there who continue to do political readings. So I'm gonna stick my foot back into the not so tepid waters of political tarot. And let's see how we do. So the first thing I asked, and I've already shuffled the cards and put them out and looked at them before we got started, is I wanted to look at the Ukraine and the future of the Ukraine, the situation and the outcome of the conflict that we have um, in the Ukraine. Now, of course, this has been going on since February of 2022. And so come February, it will be 2 years. It seems longer. And it's been a difficult thing oftentimes to watch. Um, and but at least there is this feeling that we're helping the people that need help in this situation. So I pulled. So my question to the cards was sorry. Um, what is the outcome of the conflict in the Ukraine? And so the immediate environment, the immediate card is the Ace of Pentacles. And so this says to me that it all comes down to land. It all comes down to resources. The Ukraine is a very fertile country. It has a lot of resources, both mineral resources and agricultural resources. Plus, it has this beautiful port on the Black Sea, which, of course, Russia doesn't have, and is probably the reason why Russia wanted, certainly wanted Crimea, and then just that whole area because of all the mineral riches that the Ukraine has. Crossing the Ace of so this is the immediate environment. This is kind of the beginning in a way of the story, and then we have crossing it, we have the tower. Okay, so this is the bombs coming down. This is also an awakening. And so I think we have the Ace of Pentacles with the crossing card being the tower. The crossing card is the conflict, and the tower is, of course, something coming down unexpected, although how unexpected was it really that the Russians came in? But it also, the tower is a card of illumination. And so what it does is it illuminates a situation. And one of the things that got illuminated when it came to the Ukraine being bombed, as it were, large scale, movement towards the Ukraine, even though the war had been going on for years already, right? It had been going on, was it since 2013 or 2014, something like that? Um, is that it exposed the weakness of Russia and the strength of the Ukraine. That's what it ended up doing, even though we thought, right, initially, well, Russia's going to, take off because they're the big guy. They have all the weapons, they have all this stuff. Underneath it all is the devil. So this is the basis of the conflict, and the basis of the conflict is greed, is evil. Evil. Yes, Dr. Evil, Mini Me, all of that is Vladimir Putin. Okay. So at the root of this is just simple run of the mill greed. I want what you have, you don't deserve. And then you can always sort of put whatever story you want to put. Oh, this the Ukraine is part of Russia, blah, blah, blah. But it really just comes down to greed. And then we have the past, which is the Five of Swords, abuse of power. Now, this is not new. I mean, the whole history of Ukraine and Russia has been one of an abuse of power by Russia. Lest we forget, Chernobyl happens in the Ukraine, right? So this is a group of people who have suffered. Not only that, but I think there was a Russia starved them, just like England starved uh, Ireland during the potato famine. The only people who didn't eat during the potato famine were the farmers doing the potatoes, the like people who lived off the land. And all the potatoes that were good went to England, and they were full of potatoes, but there were starving Irish people dying on the side of the road, right? So in the past, abuse of power. This is an old story. This is the story. And this isn't the story that we're just seeing in the Ukraine. We're also seeing the story in Gaza, right? Okay. One of the reasons why I stopped doing these things. In the sky, we have the King of Cups. This, of course, is Biden. In his most compassionate. It's easy to go against Russia when Russia does stuff. It's easy. We've been sort of pre-programmed that that's a thing. And I don't think it was a wrong thing to do. I just think that it's easier to say, look at what Russia's doing to these poor Ukrainians, right? And so he's helped. So he really has been a godsend for Ukraine. And I have a goddaughter who's in the military, and actually, well, anyway, I won't tell you what she did because I don't know if I can. Anyway, it's probably common knowledge, but anyway, but she's met the Bidens. She said they're very, very nice people, and I trust her instinct on people. She's Scorpio. Um, but her mom, who's a good friend of mine, said if it wasn't for Biden, then Ukraine wouldn't be a country anymore. And I think it's absolutely right. Of course, Biden sort of reinvigorated the whole NATO alliance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of so Biden sort of so he sort of owns Ukraine, I think, which is one of the reasons why the Republicans don't want to fund it. And I found out, I was watching an interview with Adam Kinzinger, and I'm trying to remember because he just wrote a book, and he was saying that when we give the thing that people don't understand is when we give aid to Ukraine, we give them things that we no longer are using, and that we're getting like more, higher, better equipment or more technologically advanced equipment. And so we're really giving them our leftovers. Okay. But of course, those leftovers are very valuable to them because they have Russia bombing them. So there's that. Um, and in the grand scheme of things, in the giant money that we spend on defense, it's only like I think 1% or 0.8% or something of our defense budget is helping Ukraine, right? So that's just facts, right? Those are just facts. Some facts I did not know and I've been learning about. In the immediate future, we have the Six of Pentacles. This is balance. This is aid. So they will be getting the aid that they need. Fear not, that is coming for them. Okay, remember, Joe is still the president. So it is coming to them. How it looks from the outside, new ideas. So where they're getting the aid that they need, but most most outside of the situation, which could be the United States, which could be the EU, which could be all the other countries. We need a new plan. We need a new plan. And that may very well be, and I don't know, that very well may be acquiescing some of the land to Russia. Okay. Now don't get mad and don't get nervous about that. In the domestic situation, we have the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is, first of all, it's a knight, and the knights are always the action. And this is the action of Earth, which is about manifestation, it's about money, it's about resources. And the knight is there, and the knight of all the knights, he is the most reliable. So there is a reliable sense in the domestic situation, and it also means that things have been planted in the past that are going to come to fruition, and they're being protected. So despite the Republicans and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who should, hopefully get laryngitis for the rest of her life, that would be okay. I don't wish any ill on anybody, but laryngitis for her would be okay. But, I guess it's better that she's saying it, because everybody's like, ugh, will be like, oh, she has something to say, I'm going to turn it off. They don't want to hear it, right? So, or you don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. So maybe she's a good messenger, because nobody really wants to hear what she has to say anyway. But it doesn't matter. The things have been set into place already. Okay, so don't worry about that. I say don't worry about Ukraine for a number of other reasons. The hopes and fears is hope. Is hope. They hope for hope. They hope for democracy. This is democracy. And they deserve their democracy. They've died for their democracy. They have suffered for their democracy. And they will get their democracy, because the outcome card is the Chariot. Moving on. Your soul's purpose. That seems very positive to me. Underneath, brought up, I think, when it first happened in the beginning, when they were about like why they were not just fighting back for their land, but there were other things happening. It wasn't just about fighting for their land, but it was about war crimes. And underneath it all, we have the Seven of Swords, which is knowing who's not so much to blame, but understanding who the bad guys are. Sometimes this card is the Queen of Wands, which looks a lot like a Ukrainian princess, doesn't she? Or Ukrainian queen. This could be Zelensky's wife. This could be any number of people in the government. I believe the person who was in charge of the war crimes might have been a female. I don't know. If you know that, you can let me know, for those of you who are better versed in this. And then we have Justice. So those people who instigated this or whatever are responsible for this and responsible for what was done will be held accountable. It's part of the balancing of the scales. It's a part of looking at the energy of power over, right? Of dominion, of domination, of I want it because I feel it's mine, and I don't care what you do, and I don't care who I hurt. And when they had the sign on the was it a church or a school, children are here, when they were bombing, instead of avoiding, they bombed it. That is that's what they did in Aleppo. That's what they did in Syria. It was like a whole, like, to me, it felt like this whole evil thing was what came out of, and it feels to me like the energy of that darkness came out of Iraq, not with the Iraqi people, but with America going in and sort of opening the can of worms that was ISIS, and then trying to demolish a sort of, um, you know, you won't win against people resistance in the place, um, through old-fashioned war tactics, which is kind of what we did in Iraq. So I don't want to get into that, but I just want to talk about like this sense and this feeling that I got that at that time, I almost feel like it was with the beheading of the journalist, and I'm so sorry I can't remember his name. That was done on they showed it. Um, it's when Obama was president, and that whole thing, it like sort of, and then we had what was going on with the Wagner group, right? That whole thing. So there's a lot of really dark, dark stuff that came up, and we're still, but I think that process was a purging of a lot of this domination, this, I'm going to bomb you into oblivion kind of idea, shock and awe, right? I mean, we had our shock and awe when we went into Iraq, and it wasn't exactly when first of all, we shouldn't have been there. Second of all, there was no shock and awe. And third of all, mission was never quite accomplished there, unless it was to free the evil uh, going on there. Um, so, so what was my point? Uh-oh. And now we see it in, and so those things were happening kind of out of our eyesight, because we didn't necessarily get involved in Syria when it started happening in Syria. And then, I mean, what happened to the Syrians in Aleppo? The whole city was destroyed. I mean, it was a vibrant, culturally diverse. Actually, there were a lot of Armenians in that part of Syria, and they had to be sort of moved out, right? They had to move out. And of course, there's right before what happened in Israel, there was a thing happening with the Armenians in, it wasn't Kazakhstan. It was one of the stands, like, again, Aberjan, I think it was Aberjan. That's not a stand, but anyway. Um, so there's this energy moving, and it's all energy from World War II. Like, a lot of what I'm feeling is coming up now is things around what happened in the First World War and the Second World War, and things coming up. And now we have what's going on in Israel. And so what we're seeing is now we're seeing war crimes being committed by our allies instead of our foes. But we still have to see it, because we have to see that it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's wrong either way. It's wrong for Putin to do it. It's wrong for Netanyahu to do it. It's wrong for the United States to do it, right? It's just plain old wrong. It's the old paradigm that needs to be expelled in order for a more egalitarian, fair, humanitarian, democratic world. It feels like a lot of old hatreds have been re-stimulated for us to see, for us to understand, and for us to heal. So the Ukraine looks like that is going to not without its pain, not without its challenges, but there is a lot of hope for moving into a future. This card, this is the Chariot card, isn't just, and that's the outcome, isn't just about moving forward. It's about being on your soul's path. It's about why did you come? Why did you incarnate? And the fact that it is at the end of the reading for the Ukraine says to me that they are performing their soul's work. And justice will be served. Justice will be served. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a, after Zelensky, if there's a female in the lead. That's what I say. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. If you do, let me know. If there's anything you would like me to do readings on, you can also let me know in the comments. I'll try to get at least one or two of these out a week, and depending on the back, you know, how people respond. I don't want to be yelled at. So, I mean, if you have an opinion, you can give it to me, but let's just be, whether you agree or not, let's agree to be respectful and kind to one another. Okay, that's the only thing I ask. You don't have to agree with me, but you need to be respectful and kind. And if you're not, then nobody gets to see what you said anyway. So, all right. Gosh, we are bearing witness to all of it, aren't we? But so you have to see it to know it's there. And for those of us who have always known it's there, it's harder to watch. Well, it's hard to watch for everybody, but see, we knew it was there, and it doesn't make us feel any better because we're right. In fact, it doesn't make us feel better at all. I wish I was wrong, but I don't think so. Take care of yourselves. Be aware and take care. I am starting another beginner's astrology class. This particular one will focus on the nodes of the moon and how I work with them in a chart, and Pluto. Pluto and the nodes of the moon are collectively known as the karmic axis. So we get an idea of where we've been, where we're going, what gets in the way of our own personal evolution, and also touches on the collective evolution of us as groups. And the lunation cycle, if we have time, because it's only a 6-week class. It's on Monday nights, 7 to 9. It does get recorded. You do not have to be present in the class to get the class. And it's on 6 consecutive Mondays. And it starts on the 20th, and it actually ends on January 1st. And that's 7 weeks, but that's because there's Christmas and then the last class. So if you'd like to, there's a link below for you to register. If you've always been intrigued by the nodes of the moon and the things I say about them, this would be the class for you. You really just need a basic knowledge of the signs, the planets, the houses, and a little bit of the aspects. But I don't assume people would know that necessarily. So if I bring it up and if I talk about it, I do explain it. I try to make it very understandable for people, because astrology is an amazing tool to help guide us in the direction that best serves us. Take care, everyone. Namaste.